Hello, thanks for attending the webinar on the eLearn TSG platform for the Minnesota NEMT communities. My name is Matt Liveringhouse, and I just wanted to go through some information for you to make it easier for you to access our system and understand the training requirements that MN-NEMT has for NEMT or special transportation in the state of Minnesota. First of all, I would like to run through the curriculum. The curriculum that's required for NEMT special transportation is rules-based in the state of Minnesota, and it comes from Minnesota State Rules 8840.5910. And our training programs are compliant with that. We're certified through the MN-NEMT certification process to meet that. There's certain parts of our training that we think is a little overboard, but it's required by Minnesota Department of Transportation. So every item you see in the training curriculum is part of the requirement or something that we think is needed by drivers in your agency. So the first course that I'll go through is called the pre-driver training. This is a blended online and agency training module or lesson. This needs to be done prior to allowing your driver to operate in service on their own. So this incorporates parts of your onboarding time and your behind the wheel program. So this is the rule for the requirement. The curriculum is for the online portion consists of being a professional driver, customer service, pre-trips, backup procedures, professional boundaries, difficult passengers, and so on. Then the agency needs to go in and do the following steps of demonstrating different items that they have to do. And then the last tab here is the Minnesota rules of what is included by the requirement by MN-NEMT. So the biggest difficulty that agencies have with this course is to do the assignment, which is the documentation of your onboarding procedures that's required. Now, the last course of the last lesson of this course is the assignment part, and we provide all the instructions and we have a video on how to do it. And then at the end of it, we have this form you need to click here to download, and then have one of the managers who's training the new driver on the onboarding process complete this form. And then all you do thereafter is you save it and you upload it to the system. This assignment here has been uploaded and approved. And once that's been uploaded and approved, then that lesson or this course would be considered completed. What's the assignment look like? It's very detailed, and MN-NEMT loves this form because it demonstrates that you are doing the pre-driver training. And you always have access to this form after the fact, so you can go back and grab it and demonstrate that you did do it. It's a 8-page form. It breaks down each requirement that you need to do in pre-driver training, it's agency specific. So one company is going to operate differently from the next company. So the first section is to describe that the driver has received instruction on operating radio, cellular telephone, or some means of two-way communication. What we're looking for is for you to add the person that's instructing the new driver for onboarding with the date of training, the agency name, and just some details about what the training included. And that helps, so that documents exactly what you're providing your new driver for onboarding. And then we go into demonstrate operating of what type of vehicles you're using. We talk about the instructions to whom to call in an emergency or accident. Instruction to conduct daily vehicle inspections, which is very specific to each agency. Discussion, demonstration, and practice of handling wheelchairs and mobility devices, and so on and so on. And so this details all the instruction you are required to provide your new driver before they are allowed to provide services. And it does not matter if it's ambulatory only or wheelchair only. This has to be completed. At the end, the final step is for your instructor to sign it and put the instructor name, driver name, the instructor signature, and the date of the event. So that's the item there for the pre-driving that gets people confused. The next courses that are required are due within 45 days of their first day of onboarding. And that is why this eLearn TSG system works so great, is because they can your drivers can complete this instruction while out in the field on layovers, while there's downtime during the onboarding process, or at home. However you may want to have your drivers complete the courses. I understand, and I know it's a bear for drivers to get all this training online done. And it takes quite a bit of time and effort to keep rolling. But we try to make it interesting. We try to make each module or lesson about 10 to 15 minutes long, so they could spend 10, 15 minutes here or there doing the training. Some drivers will just sit down and blow right through it. Passenger Assistance Online, the curriculum includes 13 online lessons that might be broken down even to further topics. And all of these are required by the state of Minnesota again. Passenger Assistance B is direct training by an instructor. We provide these courses at least on a monthly basis. The process would be that we post the event on our webpage, and you register through the system, which I will show you in just a few minutes. But this is what we talk about in the process. We're going to talk about familiarization with mobility equipment, how to assist a passenger with mobility issues, discussing and assessing if a passenger is safe for transportation. We're going to talk about responsibilities for passengers, preparing the bus. We go through the lift functionality, and we talk about accessing the lift, manually operating the lift, and repairing the lift or troubleshooting the lift as needed. And then we talk about boarding, securement, and then we spend a deal time of practicing, making sure everybody's doing it right. I find that this is one of the courses that the drivers appreciate the most. They always seem to learn something. The instructors that we use, myself and Jason Knoll and a couple other, are really good. And I know that even an experienced driver will learn many things from the instruction. Standard First Aid is a blended course where 3 hours of the course will be provided online and 1 hour will be provided in a classroom setting. Our focus is to help the drivers recognize an emergency or an incident is occurring and to initiate EMS. That's what we really focus on. But in the curriculum, we have all the items that are required by MN-NEMT, and this would be the online portion. Then the Standard First Aid skills training, it's only 1 hour long, so we aren't able to provide a great deal of training, but we do talk about recognizing it. We do talk about a few minor things, and then we do talk about using gloves and controlling bleeding and things like that. Abuse prevention is 100% online. It's 4 hours long. The curriculum is very extensive. There's over 25 lessons in it. Moreover, your drivers sign a professional boundary memo, and it provides all the details that they need to have as a boundary for their passengers. And this memo goes to document that they are aware of the information. It adds the signature right into it and the date they've done it. And we use that memo quite a bit to verify that drivers understand and have been trained on the process. Defensive driving is 100% online as well. And here's the curriculum. We have 35 modules in that segment, and it's fairly extensive. And then the last thing, that is the 5 courses that needs to be done within 45 days of your onboarding first date. Now, thereafter, drivers are required to do continuing education. We offer an annual driver certification. It's 100% online. It's about 6.5 hours to 7 hours each year of training. So they have the whole year to complete this training. It's not burdensome. I know with my company, I have my drivers out doing it while they're out on the road, in the downtime, when they have a break, when they have a layover, or they're waiting for a passenger, they can pop in there, do 15-20 minutes at a time, maybe a little bit longer if they have a longer layover at times. But this is really a wonderful way to deliver that training and save time and money, because you're not going to pay your wages on that time if you organize it right. You're not going to pay mileage for them to attend courses, and the drivers will be able to complete the training every, on their own without coming into a classroom. Now the curriculum changes each year, and so we have to hit in a proportionate rate the training that's required. So we provide 1/3 over training over a 3-year period of time. But it's very good training, and I always suggest that you create a better trained, safer, more qualified employee driver by having it on an annual basis rather than waiting. And it does save you time and money. We do have extra training if your agency has a drug and alcohol program. We have the safety training for sensitive employees, which is FTA and DOT approved. We also have reasonable suspicion training for your supervisors, and the post-accident drug and test alcohol determination. Those are add-ons that you can add into your academy, and they're very well attended. So now we're going to get into the actual site familiarization. We've done a lot of work. We're still doing a lot of work. We had a little bit of a hiccup on the rollout with a system that takes our application from a test site into the live site. There's a lot of problems, which caused us to have to rewrite a whole bunch of code. But this is what the system will look like. This is what's called the town square. The town square is a social media aspect. In here, you can it works just like Facebook. You can post items, you can post a document or a photo, you can post a video, and here's the document, or you can post a GIF, however you may want to describe it. But you can make these posts private. They can just be to your connections, or you can post it to a group that you create for your company. All right. This is where you typically will splash into. There's information here. This is the time card system that's called Stoplight. You can choose to use this system or not. Over here is your connections. Down here are the events that we have upcoming. So we have standard first aid skills classroom coming up on May 20th, and passenger assistance as well that day. And you can link right to that to register for that. On the top of the system, these are the global links you can use. And then these are the individual communication links. You can also come over here and see all the items of your personal account, your profile, and go on to look at that. But the town square is where you start, and that's where we're trying to communicate. Now, the idea is we are trying to create a Minnesota NEMT community where agencies and providers can work together to gain information, to learn more about the industry. We're hopefully going to be having vendors such as insurance agents, vehicle sales. DOT is going to have some information coming in. DHS we're hoping as well. And so we're looking for a place where you can communicate with other providers, other agencies, and other stakeholders. The shop item is where you upgrade your membership. This will be a membership site starting next fall. So you'll just need to decide if you want to keep the resources that we're providing. And it's a very inexpensive cost. It'd be about $50 a month for each provider to have these items, but it is free of charge for now until we get everything perfect and running properly. Then we are going to look at implementing the membership. The online courses, you can add an online course to your academy and create a new class into your academy, or you can just take a course that's that's ad hoc outside of your academy. So for example, you can add, you can take this drug and alcohol training for safety sensitive employees. You can add it to your cart and take it as an individual by clicking here. And note that up in the cart, there's a new icon. Or you can come in and you can add it as a company access. This is going to create this class in your academy. And here's where you can buy the quantity of seats. And you can click that. And I'm going to be buying 4 seats and putting that into my academy. Note that the cart's been updated as well. Now there's 2 items in the course. Now we are going to be uploading a significant amount of NEMT professional courses, which will include ethics, diversity, management, HR, customer service, call center procedure and management, and so on. Those are items that you'll see coming in the next 2 months into the system. For example, right, this diversity class, these will be very inexpensive. They'll be less than $5. We do also have a hands-on CPR and AED maneuver course. This is a familiarization course that you could add into your, if you need to have a CPR familiarization course in your system. We also have the volunteer driving course as well. Policy builders. We have a policy builder that's very comprehensive and customizable. In here, we have it under, you get like 3 to 4 policies under each bundle. We have a business policy, maintenance policy, substance abuse policy, and transportation policy. So you could click on that and see what that's all about. And for $170, you'd get a dispatch policy, a vehicle operator policy, and a call center policy. And how these work is we provide the best practices in there, and you can check, you can select what you want to add into your policy. You can add your own information into it, and it's very customizable. You add logos and pictures and items like that into the policy, and at the end, it spits out a PDF of your policy. It works very well. In here, you have Connect. That's where you can make your own groups. A group is a group of people or members that you want to bring in. You can make the groups public, private. So you have full control of who you want to have in your group. So you can have a manager's group for your company, maintenance group, a driver group, or just a general group for your company. And that's where you can do communication. So if you listed a communication, say you saw a YouTube video on safety that you wanted to upload or embed into your messaging, you could do that, and that could go out to only your people in your company. Connections, this is the connections are the individuals that are in the members of the program, and you can reach out to connect with them as you want. So, and then lastly, the support. We have a certificate verification process, our terms of agreement, and a tutorial. We also have, this is where you need to submit a fix-it ticket. This is where we get information if you need, it can be on anything. This is how you initiate contact with us. And your driver should use this as well, so we can know exactly what we need to support. On the left-hand side is your individual links. Now, this is based on permission and roles and what permission levels you have. So the first thing is the business dashboard. The business dashboard, and we're only going to be able to go through a few items here. We have a full HR system. We have your policy manager where you can post your policies. The customer service manager is where you document and mitigate your complaints. A vehicle roster just provides your vehicle information. Accident manager is where you document and mitigate your accidents. And then course requests, this is where, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but this is where you would access and approve courses that your workers are requesting. And your workers can include dispatchers, drivers, maintenance techs, customer service reps, and managers. And workers can also be considered employees, or they can be considered independent contractors. So that's where they would request for you to pay for their training and approve that kind of thing. We'll talk about that in a few seconds. So here's your HR module. If you're an existing client, all of your drivers will, or any individual you have in the academy, will show up automatically in your HR file. All right. The problem is that they're just there. You have to go in and edit their permissions and activate them in order for this whole system to work. All right. I provided information on in the town square how to do that. I've emailed out that document how to start the process. But the first thing you need to do if you are an existing client is you need to go in and edit your individual workers. So you can see that I've already edited these because they're sitting at active or they're archived. And things like that, provides their role and things like that. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to re-edit Danny dispatcher. So Danny is a dispatcher. Now you can use any part of this, or you don't have to use anything, any of the fields you don't want to. So if you don't want to use this as an HR system, that's fine. However, you do need to update some information. You can change the name, and then right here's their email address. So they haven't changed an email, you can change it here. However, this changes their access information to the system. So you need to make sure you talk to the individual and say that it's under this new email number. So you can add this information on the employee information, who they report to. Here is important because the roles provide the permissions. And you can add as many roles as you want by clicking it and holding control down, and you can add the roles. Danny dispatcher, so he's a supervisor, a dispatcher, and an employee, and he might even drive. Here's your statuses that should be active or maybe terminated. And then this person is actually an employee. The next step is to determine their education plan. So some companies pay for all the training, some companies don't. Now, this here section allows you to determine if you're going to pay for their courses or not. It's not automatic because the course request process allows you to approve or decline the courses that are being requested. So if you're going to pay for the courses, you would click yes here and yes to the events. Now, we're going to be adding general events in the future. We're going to try to do workshops, seminars, have maybe insurance agencies come in and provide information on work comp and things like that. Now here is the user permissions based on the different resources we have. Now, restrict workers profile. Some companies do not want their drivers or their general employees accessing the town square to communicate outside of their entity. Well, this allows you to restrict that. If you click yes, this individual will not be able to connect with individuals outside of your company or access the town square. Stoplight is a time card and scheduling resource we're providing. So if you want this individual to access the time card, click here. If they're an administrator to approve time cards and leaves, they would click on the yes as an administrator. Now, all this other information here is just part of the employee file that you may want to add. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to add any information there. The next step is the documents. Bear with me. So under HR, you can pick any employee, and we're just going to go back into Danny dispatcher. So you can go directly to Danny or any other worker under this drop-down bus. But we're going to stay with Danny. Documents are items that are uploaded for one time, and documents are can be like applications, resumes, any form that you may have, anything that you check once that you need to have for their employee file. And you would just go in and click on documents here, and you could choose you could make the name for it. Maybe it's a resume. And say that, oops, I'm going to go to put my resume in there. Oops. Well, I can't find my resume. Sorry about that. It can be any kind of document. I'm going to just put a picture in there for now. Put this in here. So this is the document. You'd upload it, and then it'd go into this Danny dispatcher's document list. And then you have to approve it. You have to review it. Note that this one has already been approved. You'd come in and review it. And this provides your managers and everybody confidence that you've actually reviewed it. So if this is a resume, you can do the purpose, you can approve it, and that means it's going to come into the system. Going back into Danny Dispatcher's documents. Certificates, this is another location where you can find the certificates of the employee. This is for training. This user has not completed anything. Assignments. We are going to be doing distance-based learning for our passenger assistance B and standard first aid skills in the future. One of the requirements is that your worker will need to upload video of them securing a wheelchair. That's how we will know that they're doing the training, and then we're gonna be able to review that training to make sure they're doing it right, and it'll all be done through Zoom. But the end state they'll have to take their phone and video record them securing a passenger or maybe boarding a passenger. It can be done right during the onboarding time when you're doing the behind the wheel. You just have the training person take a quick video of them doing it. We'll get it uploaded in the system, and we'll do the review of it to make sure, and we'll use those forms in order to verify it and send back feedback and approve them for completion. All right, but this is where the assignments, this is where those videos will be stored at. Credentials. Credentials are those items that you're required to check on an interval basis. The required credentials, we have different forms for review. So the driver's license, we have a driver's license, a motor vehicle review, criminal background. Now, the idea here is there's an interval that's required on the review. So it's a credential that needs to be reviewed. So I'm going to just use this picture to pretend it's a driver's license. There's two ways to do the interval. You could do the interval of a number of days, or you can go in there and say that it's due on a certain date. So maybe it's due on September 22nd and upload. Now, a few days before September 22nd, you're going to get a notification up here to say, hey, Danny Dispatcher's driver's license is coming due in a few days. You need to check that. All right, so that's what's going to happen there. So you'll see the notification date. Now, DOT, MN-NEMT requires that you actually show you've reviewed this document and it's compliant, right? So this one here, you see it's been submitted. This one here has been reviewed and completed. You can always access the document here and see the view of it. But this is the review form of that document for the driver's license. Now, each one of the required credentials is we have a specific review process, because a criminal background check is going to be different than a license check, than a DOT physical check. So each one of these reviews is related to the document. Now, look, this is the document I put up. So this would be the license. I just put up a logo, and then you just put the name. Is it valid or is it not valid? Is it state that it's issued in? So it might be Minnesota. Date of issue. That's going to be required, expiration date, type of license. Is it appropriate? Yes or no? Is there impairment? If there's an impairment, we're going to give you a list of types of impairment. Is it satisfactory? Yes. Once it's been satisfactory, that means that you've approved this and it's good to go for your system. And it does verify that you've actually reviewed that document. Or that credential, I'm sorry. So we're going into the credential. Here it is. Now it's in the reviewed and completed status. Other credentials is some companies have certain things they check on an interval basis, and we don't know what that is. So we have a general review form for that just basically allows you to type in what you're looking for in the review of it, and the same process there. Now the reviews these are employee reviews. We have many different types of employee reviews. You can like pre-employment reviews, maybe they got their onboarding review, their annual review, and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to go a lot into the other items here. We'll be providing more video on that to save time for today. In the academy, I want to review this information. We ask that you, for new employees, that you add the new employee in the HR system first before you add them into your academy. I know that that's how it was done in the past, but we want to get the permissions set up before you put them in the academy. You can still put them in the academy. It'll pop into your HR system, but then you have to go in there and edit that new person. So we prefer that you do the add new button here, and you just, it's sequential where you can add that new individual. All right. So in your academy, I'm hoping I'm going to go to MPS training, or I'm going to go to Demo Academy. You have the number of seats you're using, which should correlate to this number down here. If you had multiple classes in there, that it would be an aggregate of that whole number. And this is the seats remaining. All right, that's how many seats that you have. 11 students you can add to this academy. In here, you would manage your students by clicking on Manage Students. If you want to add seats, you click here and you can add as many seats as you need for this course. So if you have, say I'm hiring 15 new people, this is the information that I added last time, so bear with me, I gotta take that out. So if I remember I had 11 seats available to me. If I hired 15 people, then I'd have to add 4 seats. Update my cart, proceed to checkout, and then that would add the number of seats to your system. All right, but I'm not going to do that today since we don't need that. Add a student. Now this is where it's interesting. If the student exists, which they should, you just click here, student already exists, and then you find the student in your dropdown. You can add multiple students at one time. Right. So all these individuals would go in there. If I saved it, it would add them to the number of seats, and it would reduce the remaining seats by that number. You can email your classroom, which means that you can email all the individuals in the system. Now, show dropped users. You don't want to delete users because they may come back to work for you, but you can, or they, and you also need to make sure you keep their training. But you want to keep them in your system, but you may not want to see them all the time. So you want to show the drop user. In here, you can email the direct individual directly with this icon. And then this is where you would drop your user. So if you would drop the student by clicking here. And now he's gone. If I click show drop user, he should come back in once it's done the process. Here he is. And then if I want to bring him back into our company or agency, I just undrop him. All right, you can change the password here, very easy. So if you need to get into a system, you may want to change the password. Classroom reports, this is where you're checking the progress of all the individuals in each training classroom. So I'm going to go back to Demo Academy. Now you would not, most users will only see one academy, their own, and so they wouldn't have this drop-down box. So just to be aware of that. So here's the courses that you have in the Demo Academy. I can see I want to check on how people are doing on standard first aid. This is going to provide the progress of each individual so you can see where they're at. Once they're done with it, they automatically generate a certificate and it would go right here. The student report is the same thing as a classroom report, but it's by the student. So I could go in here, demo. You can show the dropped users here if you needed to have the dropped users in there. And then I want to see driver demo. I'd filter it to him or her. And the table will load. And I'd see that, oh, here they're not done with anything. Now, these other items we are not going to spend too much time on. Stoplight, this is where we have the time clock and schedule management process. So here's a time clock, very simple. Your individual would start, they can be assigned a shift. I don't have a shift assigned to it yet. If they're taking a break, they click pause. When they're done with break, they'd hit resume. And then when they're done with their shift, they'd hit stop. The timesheets is where you would review the time cards, administrators only, and you would go back and you would approve your time cards and export them for payroll. The shifts is a very nice process where you can schedule your employees into departments and shifts and etc. And the leaves management is where the employee would request a leave, and then the manager would approve the leave under this icon here. Now, what's it look like on the other end of one of your drivers? This is what an administrator would have. What's your drivers have? This is Joe Drivers. This is one of the demo individuals. So this person has access to the town square, so we can see what people are talking about. All right. I see that here's his profile. He's 60% done. You can add a profile photo and a cover photo. So you can click on it and it'll go into what you need to do for your profile. So if I want to select my picture, I'm going to select this one here, just for example. And you can do just like YouTube or just like Facebook, you can grab that. I'm not going to let my camera do anything. And then you could do a cover photo, right? The profile photo is a small photo. So I selected a picture that didn't really work in that space there. So let's do this one here for this one here. And then we're going to go for a profile photo. If I can find a picture, a small picture. Let's try this one. Maybe that'll work. All right. Yeah, I can crop it and do some other things here. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. All right. So that's how you'd update that information. Then you'd have your picture up here. Pretty much everybody knows how to do that. They would, this is where they could go in and access request courses, and they can connect, and then they can submit a fix-it ticket. Under my courses, this is what it looks like for them to access their courses. It's very simple. All right. If they're in an academy, there's a big difference here. Oh, this person's not in an academy. They would have a table of courses. So I have not assigned courses to this individual. I'm going to go back to the other user here. So my courses look like this. So if they're in an academy, those courses that are assigned in the academy will show up in this table. They will have a start course if they haven't started it. If they've completed it, they can click here, they'd see completed, or they'd resume it. And if they click resume, it's going to go back to the exact spot that they dropped. They stopped working on it. So this works out really well for drivers out in the field. And they would just click open and they'd start that course. Below that is the courses that they potentially can purchase ad hoc that are outside of the academy. So like, are you prepared to weather the storm, or Beyond Pride, or there's a whole bunch of different courses that we have. Body temperature screening is a course that we have that's ad hoc, that's not inside of an academy, right? So that's what they would look like. Certificates, some companies allow us to provide certificates, some don't. We base that on the desire of the company. Now, events, this is where you would see the events for the classroom training or webinars or information like this. This is my side of it. So this is what it would look like for the information provided. It gives the location. This one is in Maple Grove. It's on May 20th at 9 o'clock. Now, I could buy my seat here, or I can make a reservation. But remember when I said that a user may, you may request the seat to be purchased by the company? And that's what this, that's here. Actually, I need to change this user. There'll be a button down here that says request this course. Let me go back and go to the right user here, a better user. Bear with me. We're working on a resource to allow managers and supervisors to switch to their people in their academy. I'm hoping that's going to be done. Right now, it's only at my level that we allow that to happen. But hopefully within the next 3 to 4 months, that will be allowed. So you can actually go in as that user. So when you click that your company's gonna pay for classroom training and course training, this button will show up for your employee, and they would request this and said, okay. And now it's requesting that to the administrator. The administrator, on the other hand, which I'm an administrator, would have in their business dashboard their course requests. And I can see that this is the course request that we just, demo driver just requested. I can add it to my cart or I can decline it. So I just add it to my cart. I said, okay. And then it'll be added to the cart and you can purchase that way. It'll be removed once you pay for it. All right, that is pretty much all I can get through today. I'm going to open it up for some questions here. Let me see what we got for questions. Okay. Can I put my company onboarding training on the learning management system? Yeah, we can. So if you have specific training videos, pamphlets, PDFs or things like that, we can very inexpensively put that into your system, into your LMS, so you can have that tracking. And we can develop that. It's fairly inexpensive to do that. We do safety calls where managers may have to do a safety video, then provide it to their drivers, and we do that as well. Let's see. Let's go to the next question. I have my own STS instructor. Can I use him? Yeah, actually, that's great. So any instructor that's approved by MN-NEMT to do STS training can become part of our group, where you can use the online sections, and then your STS instructor could provide just the training for the classroom, the standard first aid skills, which is 1 hour, and the passenger assistance B. However, you would have to use our curriculum and our course outline. Be prepared. The DOT will come out and audit your program and sit in on the course and verify that it meets the requirements. I also suggest that you come to one of our courses and training, like the one on May 20th, to take notes, and I can definitely work with you to verify that your curriculum is right. So and just call me or email me, just put in a fix-it ticket right here, and let me know what you want to do on that, and we can get that set up for you. Oh, where are the training events at? Typically, we are training right now we're training in Maple Grove and in Shakopee. We can go anywhere. Basically, we're going to be adding the distance-based training, where we can do all the passenger assistance B and the standard first aid skills with Zoom, as I spoke of just a little bit ago. And that would allow us to where your driver would just access the Zoom course, and then we'd have some assignments where they have to videotape themselves doing procedures, and they'd upload that and we'd grade them. So that will mean no travel. They could do it at their house and things like that. So it'd become very convenient for the training requirement. What other training changes are there? So Minnesota changed some rules that are coming up, and I think everybody saw that. I posted those rules quite a while ago. I'll probably repost them again. But saying that, we're going to change up our training program from a strict passenger A to passenger and passenger B program. Oh, one thing I need to know. There's been some questions about if I provide ambulatory service, do I need to do passenger assistance B? Now, there's some confusion out there, and I know some providers are not aware of this, but if you do only 100% ambulatory, you don't need passenger assistance B. But that ambulatory only service is defined as you don't transfer people in wheelchairs, et cetera, et cetera. So I talked with MN-NEMT about a week or 3 weeks ago now, and what is the definition? If you are driving, it's not related to the vehicle. It's only related to the passenger if you're required to do passenger assistance B. So if your passenger is required to use a wheelchair to get to your vehicle and to get from your vehicle to the facility, you need to do passenger assistance B, regardless if you have a lift vehicle or if it's a sedan or a minivan without a lift and or a ramp. If your passenger needs any assistance from you transferring, that's a passenger assistance B requirement. If you take the wheelchair with you or the mobility device with you, that's a passenger assistance B requirement. So a lot of companies are just thinking about the vehicle type to determine if they need passenger assistance B. MN-NEMT's going to be looking at that, and that's not the case. The requirement is, do they need transferring? Do they need mobility device? Do they take the mobility device with them? If any of those three questions are yes, then your drivers will need passenger assistance B. All right. The next section statement was, what if they're like discharged from a hospital and that's the hospital's requirement? That will not require passenger assistance B. So if the clinic that they were in, or maybe they're having a procedure and they require the patient to be in a wheelchair to get out of the vehicle, but they can transfer adequately, that would not need passenger assistance B. So the next step is changes in training programs. I've had a lot of people say, hey, your passenger assistance A, there's a lot of lift information in there. What we're going to do is we're going to keep passenger assistance A just as the base level training program for ambulatory only. And then we're going to create three modules, three classes. One is going to be the securement systems and advanced passenger assistance. That's going to be required. And then you would add in a certificate for lift equipped van or a ramp equipped van. So if your vehicles are only lifts in your vans or buses, then you wouldn't need to take the course on ramps. If you only operate vehicles like minivans with ramps, you would not need to take the lift certification. If you operate both, you would need to have a lift and ramp certification. So I'm trying to tailor the training programs to what each company needs. And I got that approved by MN-NEMT just a week or two ago, and I'm hoping to get that set up when we start offering the business distance-based learning through Zoom. So, all right, well, I think that's it for what I have for information, and that's the last question I had. I'm going to be posting this to the town square, so please take a moment and watch it again, or information that you may need. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.